are in jail. If you didn't know better, you would think that it was a comedy skit. It is absolutely ridiculous. And over what percentage of these young people would you say have a high school diploma, Jim?
I don't know the actual percentage right now. Those stats are available.
It's less than 50%.
It is less than 50%. Okay. That's my understanding. And those are the kind of stats that help to perpetuate the situation we have with so many people in our jails. Now, I've for a number of different years with the Senior Ex-Offender Program and other programs.
What's the Senior Ex-Offender Program?
It's a program that's intended to assist senior citizens who are coming out of jail. A program that is...
How you like that background music? Hey! Go ahead.
I meant to get that telephone.
Don't worry about it. That is our background music. Hey! Come on, Jim.
But the Senior Ex-Offender Program is a wonderful program. His director is a gentleman by the name of Frank Williams. And in our community, that program took a look at the need with Dr. George Davis, who is the executive director of the Bayview Hunters Point Senior Services Agency.
Right.
Now, he took a look at the issues that you have so many men who have been incarcerated, and men and women who've been incarcerated for such long periods of time. When they come out, their infrastructure of support in the community has been eroded.
Okay, now let me see if I can break this down.
Yes.
It's clear, but I'd like to say it again.
Okay.
So that sounds like they were incarcerated at a very early age.
Many of them.
Okay.
Not only were they, it is.
It's kind of like these youngsters on the corners don't understand. If nothing changes, they will become gray-haired offenders.
Absolutely.
So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jim.
Being in the jails, I've heard men in their 40s and 50s say to me time after time, Jim, if I had heard the message that you're giving us in jail today, at this time in my life, if I'd heard it when I was 12, 13, 14, in my teens, or even in my early 20s, I would not have spent the rest of my life in and out of jail.
Okay, now, you know what? Very quickly, what did you tell them, Jim? What made them get it? I mean, I wish I could devote this entire show to the message. We might have to have you come back. But what did they get?
I'll tell you, I had what's considered a pretty unique approach. And I simply went into them and I said, I want my stuff back. And with 50, 60 men sitting in San Francisco County Jail, they look at me like, is the guy crazy or what? And I tell them, I want my stuff back. And I say, you act like you don't know what I'm talking about. And they say, well, we don't. And I began to tell them, let me tell you what I'm talking about. I'm standing here representing your mother, your father, your children. And each one of them is sitting back saying that if you were there, there would be an element of their life that would be complete. Your mother is saying, if my son was here, first of all, I'd have somebody who could, a big, strong, tall man who could reach that top shelf and get me the peanut butter down. But she's saying, I'd have somebody to call when I think a mechanic is trying to trick me. Your children is saying, your daughter is saying, I've got to go to the prom, but I'm afraid if I go, I'm afraid of boys, or your daughter is saying, your son. See, and I tell them, listen, while you are not in our community, there is a gaping hole.
Oh my goodness.
I want the men to understand that they have a role that must be played, and that is not currently being played effectively, and that is the bane of so many of our problems in our community.
That's right.
We have to address this problem. We have to address this problem.
Well, we have one here. Oh, we have a phone call. Let's see who's calling in. 1 second. Thank you for calling Black reSurgence.
Yes, what channel is the broadcast?
The broadcast is on channel Comcast 76, and if you go online, it would be on AT&T 99 or Stown 30. Thank you for that question.
Excuse me?
Go ahead. Thank you for calling in and asking. Go ahead, Jim.
Well, I think, Diane, among the many issues that we have in our community, to find a stronger place of return for the men, both the senior men and the young men, is a critical issue. But I don't mean to exclude the young ladies and then the women in our communities either, because the issues are consistent. They continue to come for both male and female.
Oh, great. Great point. Hold that point just one moment. Hi, this is Black reSurgence TV. Thank you for calling. What's your question? Oh, I'm sorry. It might have taken too long. Jim, your conversation is just so enthralling. I'm sorry. Might have been a little derelict. Anyway, caller, please excuse me. Feel free to call back. The number is 621-4473. Go ahead, Jim.
No, I was just saying that there are so many issues that we deal with, but there are ways to help resolve those issues. We're looking at ways. We have a program in the Bayview on this point called, as part of the United Fathers Coalition. The program is called Brothers Keepers, and it's a program intended to help men come together and deal with the issues that men have to deal with, whether it be family relationships, or just some of the things that when we get together, we like to kind of flex muscles and show that we don't need anybody else, but we go home and the reality is we know that that's not true.
Exactly.
But we have a program where we allow the men to come together and let go of all the artificial stuff.
Like getting real.
And
what's the name of this program?
This is Brothers Keepers program.
Brothers Keepers.
Yes.
And you know what? I want to thank you for saying, we want our stuff back. I want to say that also. We want our stuff back. We want our black men back in our communities. I'm sure the Hispanic brothers and other races.
Absolutely.
But right now, there's a disproportionate, which means there's too many of us in jail compared to the number of us that are in the city, or
Absolutely.
our population numbers.
Well, let me tell you, I just want to tell you that that approach was very, very successful for us because to this day, and I haven't done that program for a few years now, but to this day I can walk down the street throughout San Francisco because the people in the jails come not just from Bayview Hunters Point or from one district or another,
Yes.
but they come from all over the city.
Yes.
And they're black, they're white, they're Latino, they're Asian, and I can walk down the street and they never remember my name, but they'll get my attention and they'll tell me, I brought your stuff back, and I'm never going back there again.
Wonderful. And you know what? I'm glad you said that because, people are people.
They are indeed.
And, this is called Black reSurgence, but we are all one people. We just are like birds. A bird is a bird, but it's various colors. And I want to thank you so much for being a thread. And that's what I hope to be, and I hope each one of you will decide to be a thread. How could you start? You could start by when you walk past a person who doesn't look like you, smile and say hi. You could start there. Go ahead, Jim.
Well, that's another part of dealing with the issues in our community, and that is coming back to a point of civility. I remember a day...
Civility. What is civility? I know what it means, but I hope you have your pencil and paper just in case. You can share a new word today. We always have a new word. Civility. How do we return to civility? First of all, what is it and what happened?
Well, civility is let me say it this way. It's the art of understanding how to be civil, how to be genuine with one another. Today, we live in a time where very different from when I came up, and even as a younger man, I could walk down the street and to an African American man, I could say, "How's it going, brother? What's going on?"
Right.
And they return that greeting to me. I could say to a white guy, "Hi, how are you?" And they would turn that greeting. But regardless of who they are, today you can walk down the street and say hello to an individual, and they'll give you a dirty look as though you don't want to talk to me.
That's right.
But to get past that is to open up ourselves and understand that we are all neighbors. And if we go back to our Sunday school training, we just talked about going to church. What was the second greatest commandment of all? That you love your neighbor the same way you love yourself.
That's right. And let me say right now, some of you write this one down. Write down the golden rule. If you don't know what the golden rule is, write it down and ask someone, because that's what we must return to. This is what, when Jim is talking about civility, he's talking about, some people call it manners. So what we say, we call it the golden rule to sum it up. That is, treat your neighbor the way you want to be treated.
That's right.
When you walk, if you just do that, then you are doing your part. Go ahead, Jim.
That goes a long way towards helping to bring us back, because if I treat my neighbor the way I want to be treated, Diane, then I'll be just as vigilant looking after his child like we used to as I am about my own.
Right.
And I won't